Success can be a dazzling beacon, a light so bright it draws in aspirations, dreams, and ambition, but it can also cast long shadows over relationships, over memories, and sometimes over the very people who helped shape us. This is a story of one such man, renowned for his wealth, admired for his achievements, yet haunted by a hollow echo in his heart he could not explain. It is about lessons learned the challenging way, of fortunes measured in more than gold, and about redemption, late but not too late. He was born in the modest neighborhood of Maple Lane, a place where neighbors knew each other's names and the strongest currency was kindness. His mother, Evelyn, was a seamstress, her gentle hands weaving not only fabrics, but also the very fiber of the home. She worked 2 jobs to ensure her son, Daniel, never felt the lack of anything important. Nights were spent at the kitchen table, poring over homework, her patient encouragement present in every gentle correction and small celebration. Years raced by, and Daniel's determination took root early. He attended the best schools, not on account of family fortune, but because of scholarships. Every single one the product of his effort and his mother's encouragement. Through high school, Evelyn became his most steadfast supporter, scraping together money for extracurricular events, always present at every performance, every game, every milestone. But as Daniel's world expanded, so too did the distance between mother and son. The scholarships led to an elite university in a bustling city, far from the familiarity of Maple Lane. Letters home grew briefer, then less frequent. Visits became rare, reserved for holidays, sometimes skipped altogether for internships or projects. Daniel's ambitions, once nurtured by his mother's unwavering belief, now charted their own course, a course directed ever upward. Driven by tireless work, Daniel built a technology company from scratch. Sleepless nights, ceaseless meetings, and the relentless pursuit of innovation paid off. Sudden bursts of fortune and public acclaim followed. His name appeared on magazine covers. He purchased a luxury penthouse, adorned with rare art and panoramic views. He hosted lavish parties, traveled to exotic destinations, and gained a circle of influential friends. In all the noise and glitter of success, the familiar voice of his mother became a distant memory, a gentle melody drowned out by the city's roar. Evelyn, meanwhile, continued her quiet life in Maple Lane. She sewed, she baked, she watered her garden, always saving the blue hydrangeas her son had loved as a boy. Her small home, once filled with childish laughter and hopeful conversation, now settled into a peaceful, if bittersweet, silence. She watched news of her son's achievements with pride, sharing every article and television spot with her friends, cherishing the rare phone call, never voicing her longing or sorrow. Years turned quietly. Reunions became obligations. Daniel, caught between meetings and flights, called out of guilt more than longing, his replies a string of unfulfilled promises. "We'll have dinner soon, Mom," or "I'll come visit next month." The chasm between them widened, unnoticed, until it resembled nothing so much as absence. One autumn afternoon, Daniel's assistant handed him a battered envelope. Its handwriting was unmistakable, his mother's careful script. Inside, a simple note. "Thinking of you. Hope you're well. Love, Mom." A cluster of pressed blue hydrangea petals fell into his lap. He stared, suddenly disoriented by a swirling current of memory, the smell of fresh-baked bread, the warmth of his mother's hug after the first snow, the tears in her eyes the morning he left for college. He hadn't returned home in years, hadn't visited the half-faded street where his story had begun. For a moment, regret crackled at the edge of his ambition, then was shelved once again under the press of another urgent meeting, another deal to close. That winter brought with it an unexpected stillness. Daniel's company weathered a sharp downturn. Investors grew wary. Trusted partners left. The friends from soirees and rooftop gatherings offered little more than polite distance. The endless noise of daily business, once a shield against deeper longing, faded. Left in quiet, Daniel finally heard what had been growing inside him, a profound sense of emptiness. Success, he realized, had filled every corner of his life except the most vital one, the place family and gratitude were meant to dwell. One evening, as snow gently blanketed the city, Daniel sat in his sprawling, empty apartment, the silence magnified by the echo of celebrations gone. He scrolled through his phone, pausing over his mother's number. Guilt warred with embarrassment, for he'd been absent too long for pleasantries. Still, something inside urged him to reach out. The phone rang, longer than it once would have before connecting. Evelyn answered, her voice steady, warm, as if no time had passed. Daniel struggled to find words, finally settling on the truth. "Hi, Mom. I miss you." There was silence, then the gentle sound of her tears, not of sadness, but of relief. The next day, Daniel boarded a train. The familiar landscapes rolled past, fields dusted with snow, old water towers, roadside diners. Each small town called forth memories and, with them, a growing ache of regret for every moment overlooked, every opportunity missed to visit, to call, to simply say thank you. He arrived at Evelyn's home as dusk fell, the porch light still shaped like a bouquet of lilies, just as it had been when he was a child. His mother met him at the door, arms open wide, eyes brighter than he remembered. The house was unchanged. Worn linoleum floors, faded curtains, the scent of cinnamon. It was far from the luxury of Daniel's apartment, but in that moment, surrounded by the warmth of childhood, it felt more like home than any place he'd been in years. Over cups of tea they spoke, not just of high achievements or city life, but of memories, old friends, quiet hopes and disappointments. Daniel listened as his mother recounted stories he'd forgotten. The winter she pawned her engagement ring to buy him new shoes for basketball. The evenings she sat up sewing costumes for his school play. The sacrifices made, always without complaint, always with love. A wave of realization washed over him. A life's worth of effort and care offered without expectation of return. That night, Daniel lay awake, the soft ticking of an old clock marking time he could not reclaim. But redemption, he realized, was not about perfecting the past. It was about choosing differently in the present and embracing the humility that allows for growth. He understood, perhaps for the first time, that true wealth was not held in stock portfolios or city views, but in simple, steadfast connection. He spent the following days with his mother, not as a guest, but as a son returning home. He cooked her breakfast, helped repair the long-standing leak in the kitchen sink, walked with her through the garden she'd tended alone for years. They laughed, shared meals, even disagreed, not about anything important, but about living room decor and whether pineapple belonged on pizza. The trivialities meant they were finally present together. Slowly, Daniel coaxed his mother into his world as well. She visited the city, sat beside him as he navigated challenges in his company, attended a quiet dinner he hosted in her honor, not lavish but heartfelt, filled with the few friends who remained when money and status no longer mattered. He introduced her as Evelyn, the woman who made him who he was, and when he spoke, he did so with pride, not in what he had built or achieved, but in the love that had nurtured it all along. In time, Daniel's company recovered, but his focus shifted. He carved out time for family, for gratitude, for giving back, both to his mother and to the community that raised him. He funded scholarships in Evelyn's name, visited Maple Lane often, investing in programs for single parents and children with dreams like his once were. He told his story when asked, emphasizing not the glamorous trappings of wealth, but the quiet heroism of those who lift others unseen and unheralded. He learned that redemption is not a single act or grand gesture, but a series of small choices. Phone calls made, flowers brought, hugs given, conversations held with attentive presence. The regret for lost years never vanished entirely, but it became a companion, shaping him into someone more thoughtful, more giving, more whole. It was a lesson absorbed deeply, one that changed the trajectory of not only his life, but the lives he touched thereafter. For Daniel, the richest days were no longer those defined by earnings reports or gala events, but by simple rituals, reading to his mother in the evenings, sharing stories at the kitchen table, tending the blue hydrangeas she so lovingly grew. In those moments, he learned the true measure of success, not in what is accumulated, but in what is shared, cherished, and remembered. The story of a rich man's regret is, ultimately, the story of all of us. In the pursuit of our ambitions, it is easy to leave gratitude unspoken, relationships untended, past sacrifices forgotten. But life's truest lessons come not from what we gain, but from what we give back, from the humility to admit our faults and the courage to seek forgiveness.
Redemption is always possible, no matter how much time has been lost. It is found in the turning of a key, the opening of a door, and the willingness to say, I remember, and I am grateful. And in the end, it is the love we honor, however belatedly, that allows all our regrets to blossom into hope.